Our NBA Draft Scouting Report series now takes a look at Ryan Dunn, one of the best defenders in the country last season. Really, the season before that too. Was one of the best players on the Virginia team that made the NCAA tournament. Fell apart down the stretch and was, let's just say, woeful offensively. Ryan Dunn does not have the skill set at this standpoint to help offset that. But give us an overall look at his game, Riley. He seems to be a defense first, offense limited player.
Yeah, I mean that was exactly my first note. Defense first, nothing else.
Yes.
He's really unrefined on offense. 20% 3-point shooter, 53% from the charity stripe. I will say, if you watch him shoot, it doesn't look like completely broken. I'm kind of surprised he only made 7 all season because I've seen a lot more ugly jumpers. But he's already 21, which I think limits his ceiling a little bit. But his defense is absolutely elite. He's an elite help side rim protector. I think he has the ability to be like a primary defender in the post as well. He can switch down, guard multiple positions. One of the things that sticks out the most from his tape is, Virginia, they hard hedge ball screens, and he's really good at hard hedging and then recovering to where, let's say, the ball handler hits the man on the short roll who finds a cutter going to the basket. There are multiple times throughout last season where he would be out on the perimeter hedging that ball screen and would recover fast enough to swat a shot at a rim that's like otherworldly. Like, that is the upside right there. That's why he's going to get drafted. And you hope that the offense comes along.
He is, I think, an NBA ready defender and a high level ready defender. Like, he's going to come in and be one of the better defenders on whatever team he ends up with. That's certainly the case. If you had to describe him in one word, you just gave a nice soliloquy about him, but in one word, what would you say?
Stonks. A little homage to the meme about stocks, because he's going to get you a lot of blocks. He's going to get you a lot of steals. He led the ACC in block percentage, at a 3.1 steal rate, which you usually see for guards. So, yeah, I don't really know what position he's going to play in the league, if you're going to try to make him into a 3 or let him rock out as like an undersized 4. But yeah, I think wherever you put him, he will be able to create chaos when he's on the floor.
I said limited because of the offense. Like, defensively, you know what you're going to get. But if he had anything offensively, we're talking about him as a lottery pick and not a early second round, late first round kind of guy, right? So limited there. I think that's going to impact my answer to this next question, where we ask if he's going to be closer to his floor or his ceiling at the NBA level. If the offense comes around, his ceiling's pretty high. Does he reach that, or does he stay closer to his floor?
I went with floor, and yeah, right now his offense is mainly limited to catching lobs, cutting along the baseline, getting layups, and occasional corner 3. So yeah, I think that limits him and has him hitting his floor.
I think so too, for the same reasons. Like, you're asking him to develop an entire new aspect of his game, not just putting the ball on the floor or improving your jump shot. You're asking him to do all of that. And I'm not saying that he can't, obviously. And it wouldn't surprise me necessarily if he did, but that's a lot to ask. And whenever you ask players to do that, history has shown us more often than not that doesn't happen. There are exceptions, but there are plenty more instances of it not working out for those kind of players because they don't develop that. It's a tall ask. Because of how the offensive stuff, I do think it matters a lot where he ends up and the system and where they put him. So who do you think is the best team fit for him of those teams picking later in the first round or early in the second?
I'd like to see the Pacers take a swing on him in the early second round. Is that what you had too?
I had Pacers as well.
There you go. Because it's one of the better, it was one of the better offenses in the league this past season, to where there would be almost no pressure on him to do anything more than catch lobs and hit corner 3s. And if you can just get him comfortable in that role and make him a low 30% 3-point shooter, he, at least in the regular season, will find time on the court.
I agree. I had the Pacers for similar reasons. They're a team that already has plenty of shooting, has plenty of scoring options. I don't think the Pacers need another mouth to feed that standpoint. They play at a super fast tempo. So if you're going to use Ryan Dunn's mobility, athleticism, that will be able to get him some easy buckets, just playing in transition and rim running. They also need to improve.
Polar opposite of Virginia.
Yes. They need to improve their defense too. And adding Dunn, who maybe the best defender in this class. Instantly, I think upgrades that and gets him a role. Let's say he ends up with the Pacers or somebody else. The best year of his career. What does his stat line look like that season?
I can't ever see him really scoring more than 6 points, but I'll give him 6 rebounds on top of that. And like best season would probably be 5 stocks, like two and a half, two and a
5.
half. Maybe that's a little too bold. 2.5 blocks is pretty crazy. I'll go down to 4 stocks.
Yeah, so I had him at 8 points, around 5 boards, and 3 stocks. Just because I don't know if he's going to play enough minutes to get a lot more than that on the
Yeah, for sure.
defensive standpoint. Um, I think his peak year is playing like 20 minutes a game off the bench in a defense first role.
Hmm.
Um, and he's going to get enough in transition to get, a couple dunks, and maybe he gets fouled once or whoever. So 8-5, 3 stocks. But in 5 years, do you think he is reached his full potential as an all NBA player, an all-star, starting somewhere with that defense, coming off the bench, or do you think he's relegated to the G League, playing overseas, or being a podcaster about Virginia basketball?
I think he'll be in the G League. It strikes me as someone who's probably going to spend a lot of time there his first couple years anyway. Maybe he gets called up for a season before he ultimately ends up back to where he started.
I have him as a bench guy. I don't know how long his career is going to last, but I think there's enough there to keep him in the league at least like 6 years from a defensive standpoint, where he'll be young enough teams can convince themselves, even if the offense doesn't come along, that he can either make an impact in sports just defensively, or that the offense is going to come around. He may be out of a rotation. He may be the very back end of a rotation, but I do think that he'll be on the bench somewhere in the NBA in 5 years. Superlative time. Doing this yearbook style for all of these prospects. Ryan Dunn is the most likely to what in this draft class?
Most likely to have his jump shot dissected, MKG, Markel Fultz, Ben Simmons style, where you just see random videos surface at random times throughout the season. That's like Ryan Dunn's jumper looks different than it did at Virginia, but are these tweaks good? And he's having to constantly retool it, which would be unfortunate for him because I think that would more
Yeah,
increase the chances of him
definitely
hitting
seems
it.
like he's going to have like a different shock doctor every offseason trying to like break down his form and do all of that stuff. I very much see that. I think he's the most likely to have a significant fashion upgrade from his rookie season to like year 6. I think his style is going to be completely different. Like he strikes me as somebody who's going to show up like in a button down and khakis in year 1, and then year 6 is treating it like a fashion runway.
I actually like that a lot. Yeah, he needs a couple years to like fully shed the Virginia Peter Millar khakis look and really embrace the designer lifestyle.
There is a difference between Virginia culture and NBA culture, and I think it'll take some time to develop into that. But I think we see him try and find himself from a style standpoint. That's Ryan Dunn, one of the best defenders in this class. We'll see what happens with him on draft night if someone takes a gamble on that in the first round, or the lack of offense makes him slip to the second. We will see.
The NBA draft is coming up, and I've got something awesome for you. We are partnering with the people at NBA 2K Lab. NBA 2K is the best video game on earth. The people at 2K Lab are making some awesome stuff to make that game even more fun, and they just launched their 2024 NBA Draft Simulator, where you can find the official Sleepers Media big board. We ranked our top 75 players in this draft class. Me, Carter, Brian Ralph, Riley Davis. We did it together, and it is featured on the 2K Lab NBA Draft Simulator. You can take control of any team in the draft, play GM with just one click, and see our entire rankings before these videos even come out. Check out the link in the description of this video to try out the draft sim for yourself, and you can find more mini games at nba2klab.com/NBA-mini-games.